Just a programming note in advance of the homily. We've got the opportunity to distribute communion during Mass now, so we will, at the normal time, distribute communion. You're welcome to return to your seats. The Gabriel's oboe will still play. The spiritual communion will still be available. It just may linger just slightly longer. We'll have masks on distributing Holy Communion. Take the mask off as you approach to receive communion. This is a gospel where you're like, if you heard it, and we've all heard it, we're used to it, like, the persecution stuff. But it's scary if we consider it seriously. Like other places, I'm the good shepherd. Today, you'll be like sheep among wolves. Doesn't quite compute with the good shepherd thing. Good shepherd. What? Wolves? Oh no! I'm about to get caught here. And it's particularly striking today is the end of our foray into the words of the prophet Hosea. If you only get scripture at Mass, you're going to have to wait about 1 year and 51 weeks till we get to hear from Hosea again. But we heard this beautiful invitation of love from the Father to return in the glory of being in the Father's house, the glory of being reconciled, the desire that the Lord has for this covenantal relationship with each of us, as expressed by the words of the prophet. But the trick is, it's all true, but when we're given it in the face of a culture that hasn't received it, isn't interested in it, persecutions ensue because it's a sign of contradiction that creates rage. When you're 4 and your friend gets, the newest Lego thing, or I'm thinking, when I was a kid, the kid would, they get the best Transformers toy. And there'd be a little bit of jealousy, and life would have been better for me if they hadn't gotten that toy. And even if I don't, whatever, it's a toy, it's a Transformers toy. It's a silly example, but as we grow older and we get attached to sin, especially. But to sin may not be some personal sin. It may just be to this conception of myself as the author of everything. And this is a common dynamic. When I see somebody who's living in a sacrificial way, who's living this dynamically open, free, and loving way, it can be enraging. And this can even be the case inside Christian homes. When you're kind of just chugging along, maybe going to church on Sunday, maybe even adding a daily Mass, and then somebody has a conversion experience, and all of a sudden, they're the holy person. And it's like, there's tension there. How that dynamic's expressed depends on the situation, but the Lord is suggesting to us not to be troubled when we're persecuted, not to be paralyzed by rejection, and to expect it, and to be open to how the Spirit seeks to speak through us inside of it. Because it is, in so many, even like on a human level, when we see someone handling well persecution, suffering, we're struck by it. If everything's going great, we're We're not necessarily interested in, oh, I wonder if they have cooking advice for us. Maybe we would. But when things are tough and we see a different life being existed, a new life, an unexplainable life. At first, we might persecute, but eventually our hearts can be transformed. Yesterday, one of the, if I don't know what they celebrated the feast of the Chinese martyrs yesterday here at St. John and Paul or not, but one of the named martyrs in that list that we celebrated yesterday as an optional memorial was actually a guard persecuting and beating badly this bishop in China. And this was like the 1830s, I think, window of persecution of Christians in China. A persecution that continues up till 2020. But he was, like one of the guards who beat Jesus, part of that persecution. But it was by the end of this sort of trail of violence, which ended in that fellow's death, this soldier who was a participant was convicted. He had followed Jesus too. And he went off and he got himself baptized and ordained a priest. And apparently they were doing like microwaved ordinations back in that time because they were like running out of Christians or priests. And within the year, he too had lost his life. Anyway, this is how this faith of ours grows. We encounter the love, we share it. There's persecutions, people transformed. It's not pleasant, but it's awesome. Let's beg for the grace to live it.